Thank you. I call the member for Werriwa.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm reminded of the old proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. For each and every one of us, there were hundreds of influences, both big and small, that formed us into the people we are today. The journey into adulthood was not easy, and we needed all the help we could get. Which brings me to our teachers, those we've entrusted with a large portion of the responsibility to help guide and nurture our children. I've been told by teachers, whilst the job is not easy, it can be very rewarding. However, too often we leave our teachers to shoulder this responsibility on their own, to try and face ever-rising challenges with ever-dwindling resources. In my state of New South Wales, the state Liberal government's policies, such as one called Local School, Local Decisions, led to the government abdicating its responsibility in the education centre, and it has cascaded into a staggering amount of casualisation in the teacher workforce. It's caused an increase in what are called full-time equivalent temporary roles. In layman's terms, it means teachers are expected to work all the same hours as a full-time teacher, but they could be unemployed next week, regardless of how well they do. In just over a decade, there has been an 82% increase in the number of temporary roles. Now over one-third of all teaching positions in New South Wales are temporary or casual. I don't think you can expect someone to perform at their best ability when they aren't even sure if they'll have a job next week. Why then are we doing this to the people who are responsible for educating our children? There's not much incentive to go full-time either. The average full-time teacher is contracted to work 40 hours a week, but ends up often working more than 60. And less than half of those hours involve face-to-face learning, no overtimes, no benefits, and all this takes its toll. A recent survey found that 60% of teachers were considering leaving the profession within the next 5 years. Just last year, 1 in 9 young teachers walked away from the profession. With all of these challenges, is it a wonder there's such a high burnout? Since being elected, the task for the Albanese Government was clear. We need more teachers and we need to keep the teachers we already have. That's why we're committed to working with state and territory governments to get all schools to the 100% of their fair funding level. That's why I'm proud that the member for Blaxland was able to reach an agreement late last year with education ministers across all of the states and territories for a national teacher workforce action plan. As part of this plan, the Albanese Government will invest $328 million, which includes $159 million for 4,000 additional university places for teachers, $56 million for bursaries and $68 million to triple the number of mid-career professionals shifting into teaching, and $30 million for teacher workload reduction. That's why we've made it so that teachers who have worked up to 4 years in a very remote Australia can apply to receive a reduction in their help debt. And that's why we're delivering on our election promise to invest over $200 million this year to help every school in the country through the Student Wellbeing Boost, and why all of the education ministers have agreed to a new 5-year plan, over $300 million federal funding to deliver the National Student Wellbeing Program. On that last point, any parent will tell you that the past few years have had an undeniable impact on student mental health, and it should not fall solely to teachers to manage our children's wellbeing in schools. Schools will now, if they want, be able to choose a qualified student wellbeing officer or chaplain to support the students. No one will ever have to say that school is easy, not for students, parents and certainly not for teachers. But the Albanese Government refuses to put this vital issue in the too hard basket. Labor stands by teachers and always will.
I thank the member for Werriwa. The question is that the motion